Welcome to Book Nibbles, Big Ideas, Small Bites. The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle is not a book you simply read once and put down. It's a book that feels more like a conversation, a gentle but unrelenting guide, pulling you away from the noise of your thoughts and into the quiet, radiant clarity of the present moment. Tolle doesn't speak in lofty abstractions that are impossible to apply. He roots everything in immediate experience. The central premise is deceptively simple. Most human suffering comes not from what is happening right now, but from our obsession with the past and anxiety about the future. When we fully inhabit the present, the so-called now, suffering drops away because the mind no longer has the fuel to feed endless worry, regret, or fear. Tolle begins by describing his own awakening experience, which was not born out of joy or curiosity, but out of deep suffering. He shares that at one point he was so tormented by his own thoughts that he felt life was unbearable. In one pivotal night of despair, he suddenly experienced a radical shift. He realized that the voice in his head, the relentless chatter of self-criticism and fear, was not who he truly was. When he surrendered to this realization, a deep peace washed over him, and from then on he lived in a state of presence, observing his thoughts without being trapped by them. This personal story gives the book its authority. It's not just philosophy. It's hard-earned insight born from direct experience. The book challenges a basic assumption we take for granted, that our thoughts and our sense of me are one and the same. Most people walk around with an inner dialogue constantly running, judging, predicting, recalling, analyzing. And they think that this is their identity. Tolle suggests instead that we are the awareness behind those thoughts. If you sit quietly and listen to the voice in your head, you notice something profound. There is the voice, but there is also the one who hears it. That witnessing presence, that silent observer, is closer to who you really are. This is not just semantics, it's the key to freedom. For example, imagine you spill coffee on your shirt before a meeting. The voice in your head might start berating you. You're so clumsy, now people will think you're a mess. The meeting will be ruined. But if you step back and notice, my mind is spinning these thoughts, then suddenly you're no longer drowning in the narrative. The coffee is still on your shirt, but the suffering is dramatically reduced. Tolle explains that much of human suffering is psychological time. Physical pain exists only in the present moment. You stub your toe, and it hurts now. But psychological pain exists because of memory and anticipation. A breakup might have happened 2 years ago. But if you replay it in your head every day, you're experiencing it fresh each time. Similarly, you might dread a work deadline next week and torment yourself daily. Though in the now, while you're brushing your teeth or eating lunch, the deadline does not exist. He is not saying we should never think about the past or the future. Of course, we can learn from past mistakes or plan for tomorrow. But he insists that the compulsive attachment to time robs us of the richness of life. Think of being on vacation. Many people find themselves unable to fully enjoy the beach, the mountains, or the city sights because their mind keeps wandering. They may be sitting under a palm tree, the ocean breeze brushing their face, but in their head they're thinking, when I get back, I'll have to catch up on emails. Did I turn off the stove before I left? What if the flight home is delayed? This constant drag toward past and future prevents them from actually experiencing the moment. Tolle urges us to imagine how different life would be if we learned to sit under that palm tree and just be there. The smell of salt air, the warmth of the sun, the sound of waves, all vivid and alive when not filtered through mental noise. The ego plays a central role in this problem. For Tolle, the ego is not just arrogance or pride. It's a constructed sense of self that lives through stories. It says, I am what I have. I am my job. I am my reputation. I am my grievances. I am the sum of all the things that happen to me. The ego thrives on comparison, richer, poorer, smarter, less intelligent, better looking, less attractive. If someone insults us, the ego feels threatened because it interprets the insult as a direct assault on who I am. If someone praises us, the ego feeds on it, becoming temporarily inflated. The trouble is that this identity is fragile. If you identify as your career and you get laid off, your whole sense of self collapses. If you define yourself by your looks, aging becomes terrifying. By shifting to presence, Tolle argues, we detach from this fragile ego and connect with a deeper identity, one that cannot be harmed by circumstance. One striking example he gives is the phenomenon of waiting. Most people spend a large portion of life in a state of waiting. Waiting in line at the store, waiting for the weekend, waiting for the kids to grow up, waiting for the next vacation, waiting for retirement. In waiting, the message we give ourselves is that this moment is not good enough. Life, however, only ever happens in the present. So when you treat the now as a stepping stone to something else, you miss it entirely. Tolle suggests experimenting with treating waiting as a chance to be intensely present. Standing in line at the grocery store, instead of getting irritated, you might notice the hum of the refrigerator, the colors of fruit stacked neatly, the sensation of the floor beneath your shoes. Suddenly, waiting is no longer a burden, but an opportunity to wake up to life. Practical tips are scattered throughout the book, though they are subtle. For instance, Tolle suggests paying attention to your breathing. Breath is always anchored in the present. You cannot breathe in the future or the past. By focusing on the rhythm of inhalation and exhalation, you slip out of mental time and into presence. Another tip is to feel the inner energy field of your body. If you close your eyes and focus, you can sense a faint aliveness in your hands, feet, chest. This subtle awareness draws you into now and away from thought loops. Relationships are another area where Tolle applies his teachings. He points out that many relationships are built on need and dependency, with the ego constantly seeking validation from the other person. This creates cycles of drama, intense attraction, followed by disappointment, blame, or resentment. If two people are both living in ego-driven patterns, they feed each other's pain bodies, as Tolle calls it, the accumulation of old emotional wounds that get triggered repeatedly. But if at least one person in the relationship becomes present, the cycle can be broken. Imagine an argument between spouses where one accuses the other of not listening. Normally, the ego jumps in. How dare you say that? You're the one who never listens. But if one pauses, takes a breath, and notices, I feel anger rising, but that's my pain body being triggered, then space opens up. Instead of reacting, that person can listen calmly, respond without defensiveness, and often the conflict diffuses. This is radical because most of us believe arguments are caused by external circumstances, not by unconscious reactivity. One memorable metaphor Tolle uses is that of the sky and the clouds. Your true self, the awareness behind thought, is like the sky, vast, unchanging, spacious. Your thoughts and emotions are like clouds, sometimes fluffy and pleasant, other times stormy and dark. Most people identify with the clouds, thinking, I am this sadness, I am this anxiety. But if you recognize yourself as the sky, you realize that clouds come and go, yet the sky remains. This shift doesn't necessarily make sadness or anxiety vanish instantly, but it changes your relationship to them. Instead of being consumed, you observe, sadness is here right now. That observation alone lessens its grip. Fear, in particular, is demystified by this approach. Fear is always about something that might happen, not about what is happening. If you lose your job tomorrow, the fear you feel today is not about actual hunger or homelessness right now. It's about a mental projection of the future. When you focus only on what is happening this very moment, fear dissolves. Say you're sitting at your desk worrying about losing your job. In this precise second, you are likely safe. Your body is intact. You are breathing. You may even have a cup of coffee beside you. The mind insists on dragging you into scenarios that don't exist, but the now offers peace. Of course, Tolle acknowledges that this is easier said than done. The mind is a stubborn habit. For example, he suggests that many people are addicted to thinking. They can't stop rehearsing conversations, analyzing situations, predicting outcomes. It's like a person who keeps scratching a scab, preventing it from healing. Breaking the addiction requires gentle but persistent practice. Each time you notice yourself lost in thought, instead of criticizing yourself, you simply return to the present, like training a puppy that keeps wandering off. Even pain and illness are reframed through this lens. Tolle suggests that physical pain becomes amplified when wrapped in mental resistance. If you injure your back, the physical sensation is one thing, but the mind adds a layer. This is unbearable. What if it never heals? Why me? That second layer often causes more suffering than the pain itself. By focusing only on the raw sensation, without the narrative, people often find the pain more manageable. He shares examples of people with chronic illnesses who reported relief when they accepted the present moment fully, instead of resisting it. Acceptance does not mean resignation. It means aligning with reality as it is now, which paradoxically creates more energy to respond effectively. Perhaps one of the most radical aspects of the book is how it reframes death. The ego fears death intensely because it sees death as the end of me. But if who we truly are is not the body or the stream of thoughts, but the awareness behind them, then death is less threatening. Tolle compares it to a drop of water, realizing it is not separate but part of the ocean. When the drop merges back, it doesn't cease to exist. It simply loses its illusion of separateness. This perspective can ease existential anxiety. For instance, someone grieving a loved one might find comfort in recognizing that while the physical form is gone, the essence, the consciousness, remains part of the larger whole. Another recurring theme is surrender. This does not mean passivity, but a willingness to accept what is, without resistance. If it's raining on the day of your picnic, you can either fume, resist, and ruin the day, or you can surrender, accept the rain, and perhaps find joy in having a cozy indoor gathering instead. Surrender transforms suffering into peace because the struggle against reality always loses. Life is as it is. The only question is whether you will align with it or fight it. Tolle's writing style itself mirrors the teaching, calm, repetitive, meditative. He often anticipates the reader's objections in a question-and-answer style, like a dialogue. For example, someone might protest, "If I live only in the now, how will I plan for the future? Won't I become irresponsible?" Tolle answers that planning can absolutely happen, but when you plan, you do it now. And once you finish planning, you return to the now. Worrying and obsessing about the future is not planning. It's just mental noise. A student preparing for exams, for instance, can either study fully present, reading the material with attention, or they can study while half their mind is panicking about failing. In both cases, they're putting in hours, but the quality and pace of the experience differ dramatically. The power of presence also applies to creativity and problem solving. Many breakthroughs come not from forced thinking, but from moments of stillness. Consider how inventors or artists often describe their best ideas arriving spontaneously, like a download, when they were relaxed or daydreaming. By cultivating presence, we open ourselves to this creative flow. Even in business, Tolle suggests, leaders who act from presence make clearer, wiser decisions than those clouded by ego and fear. Reading The Power of Now is itself an exercise in presence. The words often invite the reader to pause, breathe, and sense their own awareness. Instead of being just information, the book is a tool for transformation. Tolle doesn't want you to adopt a new belief system. He wants you to experience directly what he points to. For example, he might suggest, "Can you stop thinking for just a moment and notice the silence between thoughts?" The invitation is immediate, not theoretical. In daily life, applying these teachings can be as simple as choosing moments to come back to presence, feeling the water on your skin in the shower, tasting each bite of your meal instead of rushing, listening fully when someone speaks instead of planning your reply. Over time, these small practices accumulate, and the habit of presence grows stronger. The book also points out that the collective human mind, society at large, is trapped in time and ego, which is why the world is filled with conflict, competition, and violence. But change begins with individuals awakening. If enough people live from presence, the collective shifts. It's not about grand revolutions, but about each person transforming their inner world, which ripples outward. To illustrate, think of traffic. One impatient driver honking and cutting people off spreads irritation to others, who then drive more aggressively. But one calm, present driver who lets someone merge peacefully can ripple calmness outward. Multiply that effect, and you see how presence has a collective impact. Ultimately, the power of now is not about escaping life or becoming detached from responsibilities. It's about living more fully, with less suffering, because you stop waging war with what is. Life becomes richer because you are actually there for it. Whether you're washing dishes, playing with your child, or facing a challenge at work, the now is where it all happens. And if you can bring awareness to this very moment, you discover the simple but profound truth. Peace is available now, not someday in the future. And that's it, The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. Thanks for listening to Book Nibbles. If you enjoyed this bite-sized book, don't forget to subscribe for more quick, insightful summaries. See you in the next nibble.